morning, and welcome to the virtual fellowship of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Lake Norman. Our fellowship walks diverse paths to find meaning and purpose, but are united by our belief in the inherent worth and dignity of all, and the obligation to express our faith through acts of justice and compassion. My name is Lori Walker, and I am a charter member of this fellowship. We will start off first with our chalice lighting for today. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep and in the human heart, the divine glow in every life. Our speaker this morning is Reverend Pat Jobe, our minister, who will provide a reflection on intimacy as a spiritual path with a light on author Rebecca Solnit, who has written beautifully about the power of hope in extreme circumstances. His reflection is entitled, "The Bigness of the World is the Bigness of the World Redemptive?"
The bigness of the world is redemption. Despair compresses you into a small place, and a depression is literally a hollow in the ground. To dig deeper into the self, to go underground, is sometimes necessary. But so is the other route of getting out of yourself into the larger world, into the openness in which you need not clutch your story and your troubles so tightly to your chest. That's a quote from essayist and book writer Rebecca Solnit. I found her about 10 or 15 years ago, and her field guide to getting lost is a real treasure. I haven't yet sampled her other 18 books. She was an outspoken opponent of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars and has often been on protest lines for feminism, climate change, and other social issues. I don't know if she's you, but she is of our spirit. I wanted to talk about intimacy today, and yet I feel these opening words from Rebecca Solnit are so telling and penetrating. I was moved to use them as a jumping off point to what I want to say today, what I want to express, as it is so vitally important. And maybe by quitting time, I will have found my way back to intimacy. Let's hope so. First off, her opening sentence is intoxicating. The bigness of the world is redemptive. Really, a lot of people don't get this. I mean, many people just don't get this. So many of us want to limit our experience down into clutching our own stories and troubles, down into our chests, as Solnit writes, clutching our own troubles and stories down into our chests. We create almost a drone of noise. Let me tell you my story. Goodness knows I do it. Let me tell you my story. Oh, something like that happened to me. Oh, really? You're saying that reminds me of the time something like that happened to me. You're saying that reminds you of the time something like that happened to you. Okay. As Joe Pesci says so well in the Lethal Weapon movies. Okay. It is a way for us to connect. You have a story. My story is like your story. Reminded me of another story. It can take hours, and sometimes it's really fun. A funny story makes us laugh. A tender-hearted story makes us all say, ah. But Rebecca Solnit and so many writers I love are calling us to experience the bigness of the world, the bigness of the universe. This writing of this sermon was interrupted by looking out at the ocean. I don't get to do that very much. But when I look out at the ocean, when I do, holy, it is so big. Look, feel, the bigness of the world is redemptive. So, what did it redeem us from? It redeemed us from despair and depression. I don't suffer much from depression, but I do dance at the edge of despair. One of my mentors is the Reverend Charles O. Milford Jr., and he told me years ago, it is immoral to despair. But the world right now calls us to a little despair, does it not? I won't put you through my list. I know you have your own. But sometimes it drains the bathtub of joy. As bippity boppity boo as I sometimes am, despair can rip in and pull the plug on the bathtub of joy. Solnit says in her amazing writing, it can pull us down into our troubles and our stories and compress our chests. It sounds like it's not very good for our health. But the bigness of the world redeems us. It is all us. We are not alone in our connection to each other and the world and the ocean and the mountains and the sun rising and setting. We are redeemed from all the horrors, the hatreds, the wars, the hungers, the pains. For me, It is the dance worth dancing. Gabriel recently heard Sam Cooke playing on my computer, and she walked into my office and took my hand, and we danced to Bring It On Home to Me. Bring your sweet loving. Bring it on home to me. You can't get that in a general store that sells everything. Although maybe this is too much detail, consider how remarkable that one moment was. Think about the bigness that had to make that moment happen. Never mind that Gabriel and I and all of you have 1 million or more ancestors. Never mind that all those ancestors had to live long enough to make babies through fires and droughts and wars and earthquakes and, yes, pandemics. Just for a moment, pay attention to the astonishing details in that story. Sam Cooke died in 1964. He was only 33 years old, and yet he is considered the king of soul. The king of soul. Think about that. In that short life, he had such a major impact on recorded music that he is known as the king of soul. But none of that matters nearly as much to this story as the fact that once he joined a group of musicians in a recording studio one day and sang, "If you ever change your mind about leaving me behind, then bring your sweet loving, bring it on home to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah." Roughly 60 years later, that recording played on my computer and prompted my sweet wife to leave whatever task was at hand and come dance with me. Nothing could be more ordinary. Nothing could be more extraordinary. We often use putting astronauts on the moon as the example of the zenith of human achievements. But I'm good with Gabriel and me dancing to Sam Cooke from a song playing on the internet. First of all, we had to find each other from opposite sides of the continent. She had to watch a television show on a teeny tiny network after a snowstorm in New Mexico and make a connection to that television show. And out of the hundreds of emails received by that show, I had to answer back, and she had to answer back, and I had to answer back. Getting her to walk from one side of our little house to the other side meant moving heaven and earth. And to get Sam Cooke to sing for us, nothing could be more ordinary. Nothing could be more extraordinary. There you go. It is true of every intimate relationship in your life. It is true of every intimate relationship in your life. No matter how aggravating or irritating or dismaying your relationships might be, every now and then stop, and take a deep breath of all that had to happen to get you right here, right now. Let Sam Cooke sing and bring it on home to you. For just a moment, every now and then, forget every bump in the road and think how many times the road has been smooth. Maybe you get it about your spouse or significant other, but what about your siblings, your children, your grandchildren? Let go of expectations that they might be different from who they are and how they do things. Think and feel deeply about the extraordinary circumstances that brought you together. And let Sam Cooke sing and bring it on home to you. Bring your sweet loving. Bring it on home. Yeah, yeah. I can't even guarantee it will do much good. I know some of you are on the horns of rough times with intimate relationships. What good would it do to just pause and consider the extraordinary circumstances that brought you together? I honestly don't know. But there will be times when you strain against the hardness of hard times and think there is no damn good to come of any of it. Stop. Stop. In those moments, please consider that some very large and sometimes unwieldy forces brought us together and may yet have better in store for us along the way. Maybe not, but at least it is a possibility. Maybe not even in your wildest dreams, but it is a possibility. I will read it again at the ending, but I'm utterly fascinated with that one image of our clutching tightly to our stories and our troubles in our chests. When I think about it, I see myself bent double, like I got gut punched, and clutching and gripping at myself as though I could somehow make everything come out right by twisting myself into a pretzel of self importance. It's no damn good. Sure, as Rebecca Solnit points out, sometimes we have to bore down into ourselves. Think of driving safely. If you don't take yourself fairly seriously when driving a car, you can get into big trouble. Those of us who see ourselves as sane and safe and sensible will get out into heavy traffic with tens of thousands of people, some of whom may not be as sane and safe and sensible as we are. But self importance loses its heft when we get behind closed doors. You, with your family, may be tempted to act out fears or angers or frustrations you wouldn't dare act out in public. Isn't that worthy of note? I've done it, allowed my own self importance to puff me up to the point I will growl or cuss or shout, point a finger in ways that would embarrass me or cause someone to call the cops if I dare act that way in public. Really? Really? If these are old habits, they may be hard to break. But try counting 10, as Mark Twain advised. Or better yet, take 10 deep breaths. Line up 10 spoons across the kitchen counter with some handles pointing north, south, east, and west. Take 10 steps out of the room. Dust 10 books on the bookshelf. Do something to at least delay your self importance and bombastic presumptions. Again, I need all of this as much as you do, if not more. Just last week, we heard from a delightful Buddhist teacher who encouraged us to become smooth and unruffled, kind and generous, and loving in all things. She told us it is our one job. Make that one person smooth, unruffled, kind, and generous, and loving in all things. Imagine how those closest to us would react if we could manage that. Just imagine. Here again are the words of essayist and activist Rebecca Solnit. May her tribe increase and may she know good fortune. These are her words. The bigness of the world is redemption. Despair compresses you into a small space, and a depression is literally a hollowed out place in the ground. To dig deeper into the self, to go underground is sometimes necessary, but so is the other route of getting out of yourself into the larger world, into the openness in which you need not clutch your story and your troubles so tightly to your chest. Rebecca Solnit. May the peace of 1,000 angels be with you, and may you know that smooth path that leads to love, generosity, and kindness. Namaste.
Thank you. I'm going to do this song for my friend back here, Mark. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Your love, thank you. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. If you ever change your mind about leaving me behind, oh, bring it to me. Bring your sweet love. Bring it on home to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know I laugh when you laugh, but now I know I only hurt myself. Oh, bring it to me. Bring your sweet love. Bring it on home to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I give you jewelry, money too. That ain't all I do for you. Oh, bring it to me. Bring your sweet love in. Bring it on home to me. Yeah, 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 yeah. You know I try to treat you right, but you would stay out late at night. But I forgive you, baby. Bring it to me. Bring your sweet love. Bring it on home to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, one more thing, I'll always be your slave, till I'm dead, buried in my grave. Oh, bring it to me, bring your love in, bring it on home to me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah, Thank you.
Thank you, Pat, for your words this morning, for your words of guidance, your experience, and your words of wisdom. We are grateful. We are grateful. And now for a few announcements. First, from our nominating committee. Elections for 2022 officers will be held on November the 10th. The positions available are Vice President, Treasurer, Secretary, and Trustee. Please consider volunteering to serve on our board. You can also nominate a member who is willing to serve in one of these three positions. let Agnes Fiore, Linda Heidenberg, or Kim Worthington know if another member wishes to be nominated. Concerning Feed and See, our next day to slice, dice, cook, serve, and wrap is Thursday, October 14th, and there's still a couple of slots available. Contact Jim Arnold if you'd like to sign up for our 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. shift. The November date is Thursday, the 11th. Movie Tuesdays are back. We go to a movie either at Birkdale or Our Town Cinema in Davidson in the early afternoon, and after the movie, we go to a local restaurant for a snack or discussion of the movie, plus just socializing. If you'd like to join, contact Linda Heidenberg. If you're a visitor, we welcome you. We're pleased that you chose to give our virtual service a try. If you like what you've heard so far and you're wondering how to stay connected or get involved with our congregation, please reach out to our membership chair, Linda. Her email address can be found at the bottom of the screen. We encourage our members to keep reaching out to one another virtually whenever possible. Make regular Skype or Zoom meetings. It is important that we make the extra effort to sustain the deep bonds of our community. So now, let us all go forth and conquer this day. Go in peace and love.